Do you have an update on Jordan Reed?
He's got a moderate hamstring pull still, and we just got to take it on a week-to-week basis. He didn't do anything today, and it's still pretty sore. So we'll just have to continue to monitor him and see what he can do tomorrow and the next day and keep moving forward.
Hope for him maybe for Sunday?
Very little.
Given that it's mild, is that perplexing that it's something that there's no chance that he's playing Sunday basically, or?
Well, I wouldn't say there's no chance. There's always a chance. But I think the way he's walking around right now, it's pretty sore for him. And you can see him working out with the trainers. He's trying to do some stuff out there individually, but anybody who's had a hamstring pull moderate, it's going to take some time. And you rush guys back there and they pull it worse and they're out for longer. So the big thing is to make sure he's 100% when he's out there, so we don't have any recurrence of the same injury.
What are the other injury updates yet?
Golston's groin. He's day-to-day still. Keem Jordan's knee. He's still a little gimpy. And then Porter's hamstring. He did not practice again today. Arakpo's ankle. He was limited today. And Duke twisted his ankle just a little bit in individual. He was limited today. And Trent has a little shoulder. He practiced, but he was limited. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I didn't have a chance to ask you about the decision to make Santana inactive. Mm-hmm. Could you flesh that out a little bit? And then looking toward this game, if Jordan doesn't go, does that potentially open a window for Santana to have a role?
Potentially, yeah, but it's still, we're Wednesdays and Thursdays, we're trying to look at all options, find out who our healthy bodies are, and then our best case scenario as far as who's dressing, and special teams plays a big role in that. If you're going to dress 6 receivers, you'd like a couple of them to be special team demons, and we just didn't feel that way for the game against Houston, so we only dressed 5. So we'll see moving forward with only possibility of 2 tight ends up. Could be an extra lineman, could be an extra safety, could be an extra running back. We don't know yet. We just got to play it by ear and see what happens tomorrow after practice, and we'll start making a decision.
When you look back at Roberts Day Sunday, what you like, what needs to be better?
Well, there's certain things you like. When you play a game, you throw 39 balls or whatever it was, he completed 29. He had a high completion percentage. We didn't drive the ball down the field, unfortunately. But we scored 6 points. We fumbled twice in the red zone. He took a couple sacks that he shouldn't have taken. He did some great things. He did some things not so great. And that's, kind of the story of everybody in that game, play callers included. So everybody has a lot of improving to do. I like where he's at mentally. I think he's starting to gain momentum and confidence every day out at practice. We just have to carry it over on the field. And decisions have to be consistent at the quarterback position, especially when games are tight, when the level of competition is so equal amongst the 32 teams. One mistake here can cost you, and we had 5 or 6 catastrophic mistakes that really cost us, and you can't have those if you expect to win in the NFL. And quarterback had a couple, our punt team had one, our kick, our defense had 1 or 2, so all those add up to major losses, in NFL. So we have to eliminate those. Quarterback had a few, but overall, I think from a mental standpoint, I feel good about it. Now it's just a matter of him getting comfortable and letting loose and playing. And, he's still a young kid. He just got to go out there and play and let loose and let it rip.
With more emphasis to make him more of a pocket passer, or as he's learning that in his development, how do you temper that and still make it natural and the right timing for him to run? Because he only rushed 3 times for 2 yards, didn't roll out much as we've seen before in the past on Sunday.
There wasn't a lot of running lanes for him. As a drop back passer, sometimes you'll get running lanes. Sometimes the pass rush up the field, you'll get a natural running lane. But Houston did a great job of really pushing the pocket and not giving a lot of running lanes for him to go. We didn't have any design runs for him. But if you're going to be a professional football quarterback, you're going to have to learn to be a pocket passer at some point in your career. And he's learning. And he's not a finished product yet by any stretch of the imagination, but he will get there. I know the one thing that if you keep telling Robert he can't do something, he's going to do it. And he's going to want to do it, and he'll get there.
Coach, I noticed Duke was getting wrapped today on the side. Is that anything significant? And if not, how does he looking for this game this Sunday?
Yeah, he just twisted his ankle just a hair in individual, and but I think he'll be okay. He just got wrapped up, retaped, but he was limited, but he's picked it up. He had a good walkthrough. I think mentally he's starting to get the good feel for the defense and the calls, which is important. You know, you can't. It's one thing to be a great physical specimen and be a great tackler, but you got to know where to go and how to get there. And he's starting to learn that process now, and Raheem's going to get him ready. So if we need him, he'll be ready to roll. Him and Rambo, and we'll play them both hopefully.
Jay, how big a loss is Barry Cofield, and how ready is Chris Baker to step back in the nose tackle?
Yeah, it's a big loss. Anytime you lose a defensive lineman, you don't have that many, and not many big, good football players in the NFL anymore, especially at defensive line. And you lose one, you might have a replacement, but it really hurts your depth. But luckily, Chris Baker's a darn good nose guard, and he'll step in. He stepped in during Barry's absence and did a great job against Houston. And now Frank Kurse has to step up and play in the backup role, and Gathers might have to play a little bit more. Jenkins might have to be on the field a little bit more, and same with Hatcher. So instead of being 6 deep, 7 deep, now we're down to 5 possibly. So those guys got to make sure they're in great shape. But we have bodies to do it. They just got to do a little bit more.
When you looked at Robert, was there a segment during that game that you said this stretch of plays, there was a signal to you that you said you saw improved confidence? Was there a particular point of that game that you saw that stand out more?
Not really. I think, just talking to him on the sideline and watching him play, his demeanor, I think he played with a good amount of confidence and felt pretty comfortable. The push in the pocket, I think, had some issues with him as far as his footwork is concerned. But, overall, he got the ball out of rhythm. We didn't, run a lot of passes down the field where we had to hold the ball too long and make a whole lot of different reads. But he did a fairly good job. He was accurate with the football, which was good. He was decisive with the football, which was good. But there's some other plays in there. Like I said, a couple of the sacks that he took weren't very good. Some of his out-of-the-pocket decisions weren't very good, and that's where, we need to thrive as an offense. If he gets out of the pocket with the dual threat that he has, the receiver's got to do a great job of getting open for him down the field, and he's got to find them. We had the one in the first quarter. Andre Roberts was running free, and he threw it out of bounds, and he stepped out of bounds by a foot. That's a 40-yard gain that ended up punting, and those are plays we have to take advantage of with an elusive, athletic quarterback like that if we're going to really take that next step. Pocket passing is one thing, but when he breaks contain, that's when there's a lot of damage done, and you see the great ones do that. Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and Kaepernick and all those guys that have the elusiveness when they break contain. It's important for our receivers to do a great job of bailing them out.
Jay, do you buy into the premise or the notion that it's a little bit easier to run read option against a 4-3 team versus a 3-4, or do you kind of not share that same?
In certain cases it is, but you can do some things to be successful against the 3-4 teams. They did it against Baltimore a couple of years ago, had some success. They've had success in the past with it, but it is a little bit more difficult because the edges are set a little bit more firm. We are playing a 4-3 team, but we just didn't have any called last week, and we might not have any called this week. We'll see how the game plan works right now, but it's still a part of our game that we will get to eventually. When and where, we're not sure yet.
You made a decision to bring back Akeem Davis. I guess he was a guy that you didn't really want to get cut in the first place.
Yeah, he's great special teams player, number one. He's still learning the defense. Very raw as far as secondary is concerned, and he's learning, but he really makes his mark on special teams and really helps in that regard. So you hate to lose big guys that can run fast, and he's one of those guys that can run fast, and he's somebody the other team has to really deal with on special teams. And then, from a defensive standpoint, if he's the 4th or 5th safety, hopefully he won't be thrust into action anytime soon. But if he is, he's slowly but surely coming along and can take some reps at safety. But really, he'll make his mark on special teams.
Where exactly is Brian Arakpo's ankle, and did that maybe have something to do with his quiet afternoon on Sunday?
I don't think so. I think his ankle's fine. He's just being very cautious with it. I think the biggest thing that had something to do with this quiet afternoon is Houston was never really in a position where they had to throw the ball. They were in third down and mediums a lot, third down and shorts where they didn't really have to hold the ball too long. They had the lead, so they were very conservative with their approach. So we didn't really get a lot of good get-offs and get after the quarterback type plays. And those will come once the offense gets going and we start to get a lead and the teams have to pass it. Then you'll see more Arakpo and Kerrigan and hold teams at 3rd down and 8, 3rd down and 9. We'll get a chance for them to rush. But against Houston, it just wasn't many opportunities for him.
Take nothing away from Niles Paul. Thought he played well on Sunday. But looking ahead, with Jordan being out, could it perhaps be a chance for Robert now to see maybe more of the field, maybe because there's less options that he has to look for? as far as the big three receivers. I mean, maybe he sees them more and he looks for them more.
Yeah, it could be a case, but really I think whether Niles is in there or Jordan's in there or Logan at tight end, I think they're still part of the progression. And as a quarterback, you can't predetermine where you're going with the football because I can draw up a coverage to take away any pattern that you draw up. So it's very important for you to see the field, see the coverage, see the safeties, and be able to read and react quickly to your different progressions. So, if they want to take away our two outside receivers and Andre and Logan or Jordan or our halfback has to do some damage. It might be that type of game. We'll see how they play. But definitely Jacksonville has the ability to play some cover 2. They play some cover 3. They play some man-to-man. So it's important for our quarterback to read and react to what they're playing and our receivers to take advantage of the looks when they get them.
And I know a lot of the downfield options are limited with the Houston Texans, obviously, in the pass rush they have. But how important is that to get those big plays going with Deshaun and Pierre? And where do you think that stands right now in terms of how they connect with Robert?
Yeah, it's very important. I said it the week before the Houston game. It's very difficult to go on a road and try to put together 8, 10, 12 play drives against a good defense and with a good pass rush. And that's kind of what happened. We kind of put together 5, 6, 7, 8 plays, and then eventually we shot ourselves with a sack, a throwaway, or what have you, or a fumble, 2 fumbles. So it's important for us to get some chunks somewhere, and we got to figure out a way to get them and take the shots. And when we do take the shots, don't take a 14-yard loss or throw an interception. So we were very poor with our play actions. I think we ran 7 play action passes with the bootlegs included, and I think we completed 4 balls for 8 yards, and we took a big sack on one of them. So you'd think the way we ran the ball that the play actions would have been more successful, but Houston did a nice job covering, but we can't stop calling them. We got to make sure we have a good combination, a good mixture of runs and a play pass and take our shots when we can, and just make sure we eliminate the negative plays out of our repertoire.
Coach, you said that there were 5 or 6 catastrophic plays. How do you eliminate those?
Well, you just hope that everybody understands that each play is its own entity and very, very important in the course of a ball game. You never know when your number is going to be called or when that play is going to become a huge one. You never know. 2nd and 10 at the -30, playing defense and cover 2. You never know. You got to be in position to make a play. If you're on punt, you got to make sure the guy doesn't go inside. If you're the quarterback, you can't take a sack on 3rd down and 8 at the 34-yard line. We're in field goal range. You never know. You got to understand situational football. Coaches got to understand. Players got to understand, and we got to do a better job of making sure that you're not the guy or I'm not the guy that makes that mistake, and everybody's accountable to their job. And that's a big focus this week is do your job, and everything else will take care of itself. Thanks, Coach. All righty. Thank you, guys.